I guess let's start kind of at the basics as maybe a course creator or somebody like a coach that wants to start to build out their kind of like their higher priced offers. Like
Yeah.
what do you consider like high ticket sales, and what is a sales organization, and what's that kind of like look like for maybe somebody who's a solo operator right now?
Yeah. So when you look at like the high ticket when you look at the high ticket sales space in general, I mean, the way that I look at it, and some people, I think from like an ego standpoint, they'll be like, "Oh, high ticket's nothing less than like $10,000, $25,000, $100,000 deals," which those are obviously certainly out there. Um, um, but here's from my experience. My experience is that anytime that you're offering a product or service over $2,000, there needs to be a human element to it. People need to have rapport. They need to have connection. They need to have some sort of intimacy to be able to ask questions, feel like they're making a good decision prior to when they actually purchase. So regardless of whether it's $2,000 or above, one of the things that I've always helped customers do is to implement a process where there's some connection or call, obviously, in order to be able to help that transaction go smoothly, set the right expectations, make sure that the customer is obviously set up for success, and really scale and grow. So that's kind of how I look at high ticket sales. It'll be interesting because we're going to be this next week, we're going to be in LA. And I think me and you are more meeting on obviously like sales and marketing and stuff like that. But I know that Ralph is going to be doing meeting and shooting a course, which is pretty dang cool, with Kajabi out there in LA. I mean, those guys are a fairly decent sized business. So when you look at this like course creation space, it's a huge industry. And I look at this space as I'm just like, oh my gosh, regardless of the vertical that you're actually in, there is so much opportunity to be able to touch those individuals who are actually purchasing low ticket type courses. And I think this is one of the biggest misconceptions, because what I guess from my experience, one of the things, and this is going back to the fact that I'm old, is that oftentimes people think about like high ticket sales as some sort of offer that has to do with making more money. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. Whether it's like a business opportunity, or whether it's a B2B transaction, like me selling our agency services or me selling business consulting services, is that's typically all of what somebody will actually purchase within the high ticket sales space. That is far from the truth. I'll even give you some examples. A friend of mine, Jesse LeBeau, who in fact I've got a call with this afternoon. I've worked with him on helping him to map out some of his sales process. He's a friend, and he called me and asked me for some sales advice, and I've tried to help out. He market and advertises a product or service specifically to parents to help their kids elevate their confidence level. It's an amazing program. It's a $5,000 offer. He does really, really well with it. I've worked with guys like Andrew Hanoun, who's got a phenomenal course or product where he market and advertises to women that are over 45 that have struggled with weight loss. That's a $5,000 program. So it's like, whether you're marketing and advertising like a how to get organized product, whether it's just a life coaching, people oftentimes don't realize the opportunity that's on the back end side of their business if they put in some real simple processes to create rapport and connection with their customers. So when you look at like a value ladder in marketing and advertising that we always talk about, like how do you take customers, really that's just a form of communication. How do you create deeper, better rapport at a different level of engagement with the customer, essentially to help them to reach their desired destination? People in the course creation space, because of the fact that they think, well, I don't have some sort of offer that doesn't provide a monetary outcome, oftentimes get stuck on like the course part, where to me, that's the blue ocean out there in the marketing world, is helping those individuals recognize the opportunity that they have with selling additional services and products. So
How do you
a
like,
little bit about there, but
no, that's good. You got me thinking like, so a lot of, I imagine course creators are probably maybe don't have the confidence that for such a high ticket offer, creating that, or feeling confidence in putting out a $5,000 offer. How do you, when you work with, course creators or anybody else, like coach them up to be like, no, you've got something special here. Here's how much I think you could charge for it, but here's what we have to do to get there.
Well, so here's what's interesting about every individual is that they've taken their expertise or they've taken their talent and they've gone through the energy and basically work of essentially putting together a course or a product and provided value. I'd say that probably the number one thing that people struggle with in business, and this is going to sound super cliche, super Tony Robbins, is their own limiting beliefs. It's their own lack of imposter syndrome. It's their own self-doubt. It's putting themselves in their potential customers' basically wallet and making basically decisions based off of their own insecurities about that offering, if that makes sense. So there's kind of this like, this belief shift that has to actually happen with somebody that coincides with monetization inside of their business, that it's got to shift. Once course creators make that kind of shift and we're like, wait a minute, I can actually provide way more value and get way happy customers and get way better result by engaging with them at a deeper level. They're going to get better results. They're going to be happier and they're going to end up getting the results that they're looking for. Back in the day, I've ran a lot of low ticket type of offers before, courses, products, stuff like that. And I've worked with a lot of people that have done that. We have at the agency as well here at Tier 11. We love working with those kind of customers. Those low ticket offerings oftentimes is the biggest pain in the butt from a customer standpoint. So what happens is this course creator gets on Kajabi, they figure out how to market and advertise this course. It's awesome. They like it. But most of your customer service and your problems are coming from all of these like $30 basically buyer type of customers. What you'll actually find, and this is what I try to convey to people that are in that kind of stage, is that like, look, if you actually charged a couple $1,000s and gave somebody a bit more attention and you actually serviced and provided awesome value, there'd be less headache, less problems. You'd enjoy what you're doing more and you'd be making way more money. So there's some shifts that oftentimes people have to make. And it's not like back-end high ticket sales is a new concept. It's just that there's a lot of verticals that just haven't embraced it where there's a tremendous amount of opportunity.
It's funny. We always talk about like, using the voice of the customer, like getting your customer's head and what the conversations that's going on there. But I think you hit on something that's really important, like nuance to that is don't put yourself in your customer's head. You have to take their own thoughts and don't put yourself in your customer's wallet because they make their own money and can make their own decisions. Like it's your job as the course creator to put out something of high enough value that they see the value in it. So that's a really interesting nuance to the whole idea.
So inevitably where you want to be at from a course creator standpoint, from a mindset standpoint, is getting to the point where you can feel great and provide a service where without a doubt that person paying you whatever it is that you're actually charging is the best decision actually for them based off the product and service that you offer that solves a particular problem. I mean, when I jump on conversations with people inside of Tier 11, especially when we've produced a strategic growth plan, Tom, and I'm seeing their numbers, sometimes I have to table that like, hey, let me just say this right out of the gates. You got to be nuts to not hire us. I have to table that, but it's kind of the passion that you've got to have on the course creation side with like, hey, I know exactly who you are. I know exactly what your problems are, and I know exactly how to fix them. And this is the best decision for you. Inevitably, that mentality ends up converting and making the business a lot more profitable.
There's a lot more of a mindset thing than an actual verbal thing of like, you'd be dumb to not make this decision.
Don't say that.
You gotta like embody that and be like, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. It's about embodying it and believing it. And as long as that's the case, then you're on the right track in business if you can encompass those things for sure.